Welcome to the Dermastore podcast.
A chat about all things skincare, skin health.
And if you're a real skin nerd, we hope you'll join the conversation. Welcome to episode 31 of the Dermastore podcast. Hello, Lara. How are you?
Morning, Greg. I'm fine, thanks. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
Good. What did you get up to this morning with your routine?
I tested Dermanique has got a new granule-based cleanser, which was quite cool.
Okay.
Kiehl's has got one. I don't often use these. They're a little bit far and few between, but it's actually quite nice.
Ah.
We're going to be traveling tomorrow, and I thought, let me test it before I pack it in my luggage.
Okay.
So it was quite nice. And then I used the Melume 8-hour serum, the hydrating serum that is in a league of its own.
I love that product.
In terms of the formulation, it's amazing how just slight incremental improvements to serums over the years, how it feels, how it goes into the skin, they have nailed that formulation.
Cannot agree more.
And then I used Huxley's Biosis 360 cream, which I'm loving. It's a new launch on Dermastore. It's Huxley's 2.0 range, fragrance-free. It's really beautiful on the skin. It goes in but I do recommend using it with the ampule. There's something about the combination of those two that just works very well.
Okay.
And then I used Isden's Fusion Water SPF 50 as well, which I also like. It's actually my running sunscreen. And what about you? What did you get up to?
I used the new Hydrating facial cleanser this morning. We've just recently loaded it and I gave it a whirl. And I feel like this cleanser, it really ticks all the boxes. It's super gentle, but it has that light foaming action.
Exactly. It's like a foaming cleanser that you would think would be quite harsh, but it's not.
No.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. Reluctant to bring it back for the team to test. But, and then I actually used another product that we're probably going to launch today is the Derm Absolute Lift.
Ooh, and?
Yeah, I love that. It's the peptide-based serum. So they've 2 new serums. And this is the anti-aging serum. And I really enjoyed how it felt on the skin. And it layered so beautifully with, I used Huxley More Than Moist moisturizer.
Nice.
And then I finished with, I cannot believe I'm saying this, but the Lamel Helix Tint No. 1
Okay.
is my new favorite sunscreen. Yeah, I've done like a complete 360 on it and I'm really enjoying the color. I love that it's a mineral sunscreen and they've put a lot of beautiful antioxidants into it. So yeah, that is a winner for me.
It's obviously one I haven't tested, but just looking at it from the outside, it's got incredible ingredients in it. It
Exactly,
really does. It's more than just a sunscreen.
It's more than. And they've overcome their little hiccups that they had initially when we launched, that it was a bit granular because of the iron oxides. It's the second or third day that I'm wearing it and testing it. And like I said, I'm really enjoying it.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay, well, on to today's episode. We're going to be chatting about the environment's impact on your skin. We've got Dr. Webster in the studio. How are you, Dr. Webster?
Well, thank you.
So we just thought this would be a cool topic to bring up because there's so many factors that influence our skin. Yes, it's the skincare products we use, which we sort of obsess about. But what are the other things in our daily lives that are always changing and also influencing our skin? So from your geographic location to your water to internal heating and clothing and seasonal shifts, especially now going into winter, the air gets a lot drier, the humidity drops in the interior of the country. So all of these things influence our skin and actually in quite significant ways. So Dr. Webster, in your practice, what do you see as sort of the biggest things that change a person's skin in terms of environment?
My practice is down near the coast. So it's a Mediterranean climate, so we have more rain in the winter and the drier summers. And definitely down at the coast, we have a lot of what we call aeroallergens. So there are allergens that are in the air that can trigger eczemas. For instance, I have a patient that he literally gets off the plane from overseas, arrives in Cape Town, starts itching immediately. So he's allergic to something in the air in the Western Cape.
Right.
And so that when he's overseas in a drier climate, his skin is perfect. As soon as he gets off the plane, he starts itching.
That's quite incredible. I mean, the Cape Floral Kingdom is all around us down here, so the biodiversity is there. Then you've also got agriculture and crop spraying, and so all these factors can play a role.
Definitely.
And And obviously now with the change in seasons, up country, you're going to see that shift, the humidity drops. I don't think we don't really understand it down in Cape Town, but Lara, you're from Joburg. How does that change affect your skin?
My skin feels just a little bit more, it's definitely more alert, if that makes sense. So I'm very aware of my skin now, whereas before it was just sort of, in Joburg it was normal, and then winter would come and it would go chronically dry.
Yeah.
But here it's more irritated, and I think it is because of those aeroallergens. I was saying to Dr. Webster earlier, I never took Sinutab when I was in Johannesburg.
Wow.
And now I've advanced from Sinutab and now on a script Phenofix. So it's really quite amazing how different the climates are from region to region. And what came up about this week actually, which sort of also helped spark the topic of this podcast, was I had a video consult with a client from Johannesburg, and she was sharing with me how she doesn't know why, but her skin is a lot drier and a lot more irritated. And yes, there's many other factors that we had to discuss and consult on. But the first and foremost, which came top of mind, were, well, we're going into winter, and those little incremental changes that we're making, like, for example, the air is becoming drier, so we're losing humidity. Your shower is going to be a little bit hotter. You might have already started putting the heater on. So all these little changes, and then you're still using your foaming cleanser. It's no wonder you're starting to have that change. So these environmental factors, especially, I think humidity plays a huge role.
Absolutely. The one I'm sort of quite interested in is water quality. So obviously we rely on the lovely municipalities to supply us with good quality water, but we often don't know what they're actually doing to it and how they're treating it.
I'd rather not know.
Well, that's the kind of the point. And I think the hardness of water obviously comes into play here. Harder water contains more calcium and magnesium, right?
That's correct, yeah. So basically, hard water is not skin friendly.
Right.
And then you add a normal bar of soap, which is made in the normal way with saponification. The soap is very alkaline.
Okay.
So you have hard water with an alkaline soap. That is bad news for the skin. That will irritate the skin. It can trigger dermatitis, and that's the worst combination.
So opt for a non-soponic soap, basically.
If you want a bar of soap, then you must go one that's got a synthetic syndettes. It's not made in the normal soap manner. It's a soap-free bar, and it's got syndettes in it.
Okay, so your liquid body cleansers wouldn't have those in them, or would they?
Some of the more old-fashioned ones might have soap, but the more modern ones will all be these syndettes.
Okay. Yeah, I think we sell two. We've got the Aven Zero Calm Bar, which is definitely a syndette-based one. And then we recently launched one from Kiehl's, which is also, I believe, a syndette-based one.
Yes.
So those are two very safe and skin-friendly. The most important thing are they're pH balanced.
I mean, what you can do, it's quite easy to test your municipal water. You can buy like these strips that you test the pool with.
Right.
And you can just test that, and you can see the hardness of your water. And if you, for instance, you have a child with severe atopic eczema, you might even want to introduce a water softener into your house.
Okay.
So there are various ones. There's ion exchange resins. There's reverse osmosis. Basically, hard water is not good for like kids with eczema.
Do you know what? We actually had a chat the other day on support, and also it's something personal with athletes that are in my family. So if you're an athlete and you're training twice a day, sometimes 3 times a day, and you're showering after every exercise session, that's already disrupting your barrier. And then this other client that we were chatting to, for religious reasons, she's washing her face 3 times a day because it's prayer season, for example. And she's saying, this product is causing me to become irritated. But it's not really the product. It's just because of the thorough cleansing. How are we cleansing? What are we cleansing with? That sort of thing.
Removing all the healthy fats and lipids, I think.
So we've just got it's all these little things that we sometimes really don't even know are impacting our skin.
Exactly. And that's why hot showers are not a good idea either. So you want to be more lukewarm, but very hot. The hot water will also damage the barrier function of the skin.
Yeah.
Okay, and then obviously moving now into winter, indoor appliances, heaters, air conditioners, that also can wreak havoc on your skin. You kind of find yourself sitting in the office and everyone's got the temperature turned up, but all it's essentially doing is just drawing moisture out of your skin. So that's why we always say opt for a richer moisturizer in winter to sort of counteract that.
And I know it's not pleasant in winter especially, but I love thermal mists or a hydrating mist on the skin. Just hydrating mists they just replenish that moisture in the skin. So it's almost like a humidifier that we sort of have in the homes to put moisture back into the air. Thermal mists are awesome for that.
Another one that I've been sort of personally interested in is clothing. So I discovered probably 10 years too late bamboo for sleeping in. And on our bed sheets and everything I wear now at night is bamboo. And I can't believe what a difference it's made. You know, it's really just so soft and comforting. I swear it's made me sleep better. So I think the fibers we wear on our skin every day, obviously we in contact with our clothing. What are some of the things that we should be wary of, Dr. Webster?
Oh, so the bamboo's great. Obviously, the number one, silk is the best. You can have a silk pillowcase,
right,
which is fantastic. But obviously, that's expensive, but it's great. Cotton, but you just got to be careful of sort of the more rougher wools, especially again in people with eczema or more sensitive skin. The rougher wools often will contain lanolin, and it is also just the texture of the wool can irritate the skin. And that's why I rather go for the finer wools like the merino wool or something like the alpaca wool is fantastic. But that's obviously also quite expensive.
Okay, and then obviously we can touch on some synthetic fibers as well, like to avoid maybe the polyesters and spandex, and people can develop allergies to these.
Yeah, it's more often the occlusive effect. So sometimes, especially the women tend to wear these very, very tight, like spandex garments, and that can cause folliculitis, it can cause fungal infections, and you can sometimes also the dyes in it, especially the black and the red dyes, you can become allergic to those.
It's so true actually, because I think also just in terms of commercialization, there's a lot of really affordable clothing now available, but it does come with quite terrible quality. It's mixed with all these types of fibers and chemicals, and thank goodness the tight fashion has sort of eased its way out of here. But but even just if I think about gym clothing and that friction, that tightness and the friction on your skin, definitely the keratosis pilaris on the arms or up on the thighs, it's because of the clothing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And the synthetic fibers like the polyesters, they tend to be a bit more occlusive. So that's why I think the newer fabrics, where it's often a blend of like merino wool with synthetic fibers, like I've got a beautiful merino wool cycling top that is fantastic. It's merino wool with other stuff in it, and it wicks away the sweat, and it also keeps you warm.
Just on the last note on clothing, when you buy new clothes, you go to the shop and they all look and feel lovely, that actually is sprayed with something.
Formaldehyde.
Wow.
So they use formaldehyde to make it less creases. And often if it's like in a bag, you open that bag, you just smell that formaldehyde just hitting you in the face. Bottom line, if you're going to buy new clothing, wash it before you wear it.
Wow.
Because quite a few people are allergic to formaldehyde.
That's a very good tip. Thank you. So I think a really important tip that I would like to share with now, especially moving into winter, is to, just because it's cooler and we are indoors more, it doesn't mean that the sun is not shining. If the sun is out, that means there are UV rays, and the UV rays, especially, we mustn't forget, UVA can penetrate through windows and glass. So if the sun is shining and it's winter, you need to wear your sunscreen. And what I'm very guilty of is it's very cold. Okay, it's not as cold as Joburg. Cape Town's a little bit like more
Forgiving.
Yeah, forgiving, that's the word, thank you. I go warm my bones in the sun at lunchtime or just take a walk away from the computer. And if you're guilty of not wearing a sunscreen and you are walking at lunchtime in the sun, you have to wear your sunscreen 365 days a year.
Yeah, I think especially guys as well, we kind of lapse on that front. We kind of only think we should wear sunscreen when we go riding or running or doing something. Cumulative effects are aging and obviously potentially down the line skin cancer. I've had one or two friends who've had BCCs that Ian's had to take care of recently. So even at my age, you forget about all the damage we did as kids as well. So I think just being religious on sunscreen is so, so important. So I think with all these things, it's the accumulation of small changes that can happen, and then suddenly a big change happens. Your skin will be fine, it'll be plodding along and doing its thing, and then all these little incremental changes, the weather, your clothing, something will change, and you might find it's not okay. So it's not always your skincare products. A lot of the time people come to us and go, my skin's reacting to this product, and we go and we sort of play detective and try and find out, and I'm sure, Ian, you do it in your practice all the time. You got to look at all the surrounding factors and actually figure out what the culprit might be. But it's an under-recognized thing that our environment plays such a big role in the condition and healthiness of our skin, and it goes back to our skin sponding philosophy. Just be adaptive about how you treat your skin. I think that's all for today's episode. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll catch you next time.
Thanks so much. Bye.
Cheers.
Don't forget to subscribe if you're keen to learn more about what we have to say. We'd also love to hear your thoughts and ideas and any questions for future episodes. You can email us on pod@dermastore.co.za.